Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Roundtable Talk. We got a special guest today, Ben Piggott.
Woo woo! Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Glad to have you on, man. Glad to have you on. We got Randy back today.
Yes, sir.
We got Tyler back too.
Let's go.
All right, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Bless. Better than I deserve.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy though. Like, what happened to you, man? Where'd you go?
Where did I go?
I heard you fell off.
Yeah. That's the word on the street right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's who knows if that's going to change, but no, it's definitely been a good couple of years. This last year has been sort of like a loading screen, which is like really important. I mean, you need to load stuff. You need to be ready to go for next year.
Yeah.
That those T-shirts that I made last year. So I do it every year. They're just like the first year was I know Ben Piggott.
Yeah.
And the second year last year was Ben Piggott fell off.
Yeah.
And then this third year we're coming up on. And another one, I just finished it and just finished taking a pre-order for it.
Was it color?
The color's light blue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a light blue t-shirt. The first year was like white, second year was cream, cream and black ringer, which was really sick. And then like all throughout 22, I just kept seeing people wearing like cream and black ringer.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
It's a pretty popular color.
I was before that, but had to, it was cool seeing everybody wear that like later in the year. 2021 I was making those, but this third year has been the biggest so far. So I think we got over 100. I got over 100 shirts.
Nice.
That they're just giving away for free.
Wow.
And that's that's what I would like.
Yeah.
Do 100% of the time. If it were up to me, if like money weren't an object, I would just like give those away. Like,
I mean, because what happened was like when I found out about you was like I know Ben Piggott shirt because I saw someone wearing it once and I was just like, who is that? And then like I ended up like looking the name up and then I found your Instagram. And
Word,
I was like, yeah, that was kind of how it happened. So it was pretty, like brand awareness right there.
Thank you. And it's honestly at the end of the day, it's just a joke. But I'm having so much fun with it, and I think I'm going to start writing a little narrative that just takes 4 words every year. Like I know Ben Piggott. Ben Piggott fell off. Then what happened next? And what's going to happen after that? What's Ben Piggott going to get into?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? And so this year is going to continue what happened after Ben Piggott fell off, and then the next year I think I already have what I wanted to say. And so it's not cheap though.
Yeah.
Last year I spent so much money just making free T-shirts. I was also using really expensive blanks.
Yeah.
And that was I was like, oh man, like $500 out of pocket just to, give away to people. Plus, that's not including shipping or anything like that. Luckily, we printed them in my house, which was good because I used to have the studio in my house. We don't have that there anymore, but it's which isn't a bad thing or anything. But definitely, it was more expensive last year.
Yeah.
But this year, I have a lot more people interested, and it catches on. And I mean, I still know that it's come like April, people are gonna be like, hey, like, how can I get one of those T-shirts?
Yeah, didn't you just release something about it was like something dealing with like don't ask for a shirt or something like that? Yeah.
I was just gonna be like, yo, Ben, how do I get one?
Yeah, well, I might have some extras. I purposely am gonna make more than because I just know that's gonna happen. And basically, all that I do is I post one story and I'm like, slide up on this with your name, shirt size, mailing address, and you're gonna get the T-shirt.
Really?
That's all you have to do. You don't have to buy anything. That's all you have to do. And then the next story, I think I was like, don't ask me later because you're not going to get one. I'm going to
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. I don't know. I just like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's every year. Every year people ask me all throughout the year to get one. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I just can't do it. Like, you have to wait till next year. But it's cool. Like people hit me up like, yeah, I'm 3 for 3. I've got all 3 T-shirts every year. I'm really excited for this next one. And then other people are like, yeah, 2 for 3. Other people, this is their first one, but it's all a joke. Like at the end of the day, and that's the reason why I give it away for free. I would never sell anything as stupid as that. Like I know, but I would never try and make money off that.
But the thing is, people will buy it though. That's the thing. Like, because Balenciaga does that.
Yeah,
like,
people offer money all the time, and I'm like, no. That would just be so like narcissistic. I feel like to just like, I don't know. I wouldn't dig it if someone was making money like that. I don't know. Maybe what do I care? But you know.
I mean, see, I found you because I saw someone wearing the shirt, and I was like, "Who is this person? I've never heard of that name before."
Which is cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. That makes me happy. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here right now having a conversation with you because of that T-shirt.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty cool. So and yeah, if that can happen, more people in their conversation starters. Like,
yeah, for sure. Because like I can guarantee you probably have a lot of people come up to you asking like the meaning behind like Ben fell off. Like they're probably asking like, what does that mean? What's going on? Because like I don't know, like seeing it, because like my perspective on things since I'm an artist. So like when I see certain things or phrases or words, I look way deeper into it because it kind of have like a sublime meaning behind it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like look at it that way because it's like you see something like that, like what does that mean? Like what does that truly mean? Though?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what it means is like honestly, like end of 2021, coming into 2022, dude, I just felt like I hadn't made anything in so long. Like I just hadn't made art of any kind, and I was like, man, like I was so upset. I was so like disappointed, and like I haven't made anything. I haven't been like, I've just been feeling uninspired, unsure of what would make me, you know, what do I make?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'm gonna make art about not making art. I was like, this shirt is about me not making anything, and that's like, and I was like, make art about not making it, you know? Like, so it was genuinely like, and people loved it.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, because it's like simple but not simple. It's like the complexity of it that makes people attracted to it. Because that's kind of what drew me to it. Because it's like it's not over the top. It's not something being thrown in my face. It's like I don't know. It's just like so simple, but like there's like pleasure behind it. I don't know. It's like very entertaining to see it.
Yeah, it is entertaining, and that's like all I really want to do. Is like, I mean, I do want to make like really, you know, profound and meaningful art. But at the end of the day, like if people are entertained, like great. You know, if I make people think at all, great.
Well, I will say the photography behind it all, it's definitely cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, because like on the video we're gonna like show like the pictures and everything. So like there was like a couple of pictures I saw on there that was like really cool. You were like in the forest or something, and you had like the table and like a TV, and then the one where you had like that blazer one with like a boot or something with nails in it. Like those are pretty iconic, man. I will say very thematic.
Thanks. Yeah, there was a lot like end of 2021, I think I went out to like Napa Valley to visit my friend Mark, and he put me onto sardines. Like they're super healthy. They're so healthy. They're sustainable. Super good for your brain too. And so like when we were doing the photo shoot for the Ben Piggott Fell Off shirts, what I did was I ripped the font from a Spam. You know, like
the Spam can. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I took the Spam font. That's what I used, and then I used another like canned meat, tin fish, sardines, and like in the photos, like my friend Parker has like this. He's like
I saw that.
And you know it's we just paying homage to something that I'm goofily attracted to and I enjoy. So that was a lot of fun. And then I think I know what picture you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I'm wearing I'm holding a boot.
Yeah, with the nails in it.
Yeah, that was like right before we had our first runway show. Was like that. Our friend Maud Catone invited us to Paddock Magazine to shoot some looks, and we were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I think it was before the runway show, and that was the first time So the Neighborhood Maniacs is Jake, Rich.
I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake, Rich, and I, and then after during our show, this guy Carson Lucas, who's I looked up to in high school. I still look up to him. He's a very dope dude, and he had his own brand in high school. And he was the only one in our high school making a brand was before like the time when so many people just had brands. Yeah. It's like brands are like all over the place, but he was like really way ahead of his time working with this Canadian manufacturer, Champ, who's like, I won't say too much, but he's like really plugged in. He's like really like a lot of the companies that are producing high quality stuff right now go through this manufacturer, and so he's like, so his stuff would come out just looking sick in high school. Like, this kid goes to my school. Like, who is it? Like, who is he? Too nervous to talk to him, and then like, the day before our fashion show, he shows up to a rehearsal.
Nice.
And basically, we joined forces. I mean, he's just like, yeah, this is crazy what you guys are doing. Like, we filled up a whole drive-in movie theater.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I definitely will circle back around to it. And so he was like, yeah, let me just help with rehearsals. And he's like, help directing the models and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it was before that, but like, our friend Maud invited us to shoot bits and pieces of the collection in Pattern Magazine with, like, we had some other friends, like friend Max Denary, he was modeling, I think, and Aiden, very cool individual. And so I think that came from that shoot where we were sort of like, okay, we have all these pieces, we have like probably like 20 pieces, like we got to start photographing stuff. And the fact that I think Denary was interning there at the time, so he got us that like opportunity to go there and photograph it. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun.
Talk about your process, like throughout the startup and entrepreneur process. What were the main challenges in the learning lessons you've learned so far?
Yeah, wow, that's a big question. I'd say, I think before like we decided that we wanted to be a brand or anything, what really happened was my friend Jake and I, we partnered up. We started making art in a basement. We had no like goal. We were just making art to make art. We were just like, let's just make music. Let's just paint. Let's just make clothes. Let's just do stuff like that. And so Jake and I were like cooking in the basement, and we would go to the industrial complex off Mass Ave, I think. It's off Mass Ave. And one day we met this woman there. It was during a First Friday event, and she had all these like, they all open up their studios. You can go in, meet the artists, check out their art. And he struck up a conversation with her. She was like, hey, I gotta go to Europe for like a month or two. Do you guys want to use my studio to host a show for First Friday? I'm like, yes. So at our first art show, it was a hit. So many people pulled up, it blew me away. And then Rich heard about us through mutual friends and DM'd us, so he joined our team. And then, so really, after that show, after the first gallery show, he was like, dude, we sold more clothes than anything else, more than paintings, more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, we gotta do a runway show. Jake's like, you read my mind, let's do it. And so we start, talking about it, what do we want, all this kind of stuff. And then in that time, someone else hit us up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and his name's Rich Schwarzkopf, and he's like, I'm a master. He's a master. He has so much skill behind his two hands. And so we like went through his Instagram, like, yeah, this guy's like not messing around. So we met up with him, and then so the goal was really runway show. We have a runway show, let's just do it. And so we ended up making about 33 looks, which is, after accessories, like around 100 pieces. And like, okay, now we need, and that's the thing, like before brand, before like, we don't even know what to call ourselves. We're just like, we're doing a fashion show.
Yeah.
That's all it is so far. And that was, we, in that time, we were like hanging out a lot with like the punk scene of Muncie, and that transitioned. A lot of them moved down to indie, so it was like, I mean, it wasn't just us by any means, but all these people are super talented. They're all just so skilled and knowledgeable, and just awesome humans.
Yeah.
And so like they're in the mix a lot, like helping us do photo shoots, modeling for us, that kind of stuff. Just being involved, being around, which was totally essential for what we ended up pulling off. And then so like we ended up like doing the runway show. We rented out a big drive-in movie theater and like had the models like walking around all the cars and stuff. And so like all these different people had different parts. Like this guy we knew was like, hey, I want to do the music for your show. So he did a whole score for us for the whole show, did intro, middle, and end. We had another guy who was really good with like the technical side of cameras, and so we were able to like hook an adapter all the way up to the projector.
Yeah, I saw that in one of the videos.
Yeah, and this guy was like up in the projector room helping us, and he's just like, his name's Clay Easton, dope ass dude, super friendly, and so like all these people came together, and that's like the most important part, that it wasn't just us. You know, we were working on the clothes, we were organizing the whole thing, but like we would not be able to do it without them.
Yeah.
And I think like the first step was like figuring out what we wanted for that show, because it was like, we want to do a show, but what else? What do we want like about the show? What do we want it to be like? So, well, we decided we wanted all the models to be artists, and so everyone who walked in the show was an artist as well.
Nice.
Whether it's a musician, another clothing designer, like whoever it was, they were all involved in art in some way. And then after that, I mean, it was like figuring out how are we going to do this, really asking what and how, and then when. When was the last question? You know, 'cause you're like, all right, we know what we want, we know how we want it. Like, when are we going to do it? And yeah, that was probably the process that I would say that I still follow, at least personally, like for every project I'm working on.
So Ben,
as an artist,
go ahead.
as an artist, the creative process and what's going to build on that, it's like, how do you and your colleague get into that zone of like creation, like the inspiration part?
Yeah.
How do you find that, and do you have a technique or the time and the mindset to go in? Like how do you go upon that?
Yeah, so we definitely didn't have the time, but I was managing restaurants. I was working 50 to 80 hours a week, so there was like no time. But like that motivated me so much because like you go to work, that's all you think about all day.
Yeah.
You're just like, it would be so sick if I could just do my dream job, like make that happen.
Yeah. It put like fire into your feet to like work harder at
100%.
Yeah.
And I started working less, and I even felt less motivated. It's wild how like just working more and more makes me want to work on other things more and more. And so that's like, that was really tough. We didn't have the time, but it gave us the motivation. And so it would always be late. It would be late at night. We'd be tired. I'd be tired. And I'd say like just the pure like want to get out of our current position, like made us want to work harder. So that's really how we got in that zone. It was just like, all right, we're doing this, and there are other people counting on us to do this, so let's do it.
It's like in physics, it's momentum. The more the energy it pushes you more.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and it stayed like that. You know, I literally took a vacation from work just to be able to do that show. Like I used my whole vacation just to be able to make that happen, and it was beyond worth it. But like, I was also like not sleeping. Really, I was in pretty bad shape by the time the show was over, and then I had to go right back to work, which was crushing. But you know what? Like, it was worth it.
Well, the show was a great success because it was all over the place. Like, I was seeing it and hearing about it. Even like people who didn't even I didn't even know, they were talking about like, there's like a fashion event going on at the drive-in. So like, it was like a huge thing, and like being there at that drive-in was like a big deal. So like, it splashed some ways for you for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And like it was really wild because like people, like the way that spread was unbelievable. Like all the models were like, walking in the show.
Yeah.
And all the people taking part was like, yeah, we're working on this show. Everybody was just like, the word spread like wildfire. And the RSVP filled up, and there were probably, I don't know how many people there were, but there were a lot. And yeah, it felt great. It felt really good.
Quick question, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm a visual learner.
Uh-huh.
Where can we see some of your work?
Instagram probably is the best place.
There's your Instagram.
It's just Ben Pigott, Pigott.
Pigott.
That's it.
Right?
Yep.
This is not him, is that?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, the feet. Yeah.
So let me go ahead and do a close up on the camera, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people can follow him, right?
Sure.
And we can put a link. We can put a link on the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
definitely.
Nice. Ben Pigott, but you'll put a link on the podcast.
Right on.
Great.
Right on. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be looking. There's gonna be a lot this year, I think. Coming up on that. I don't post very much, but I think this year I have a lot of ideas, and there's definitely gonna be some.
So I went on your website actually, and I saw the this thing called Colors.
Yeah.
Is that like a new project that you're working on, or what is that about?
Sort of, yeah.
Mhm.
So during that runway show, I was like spray painting these shoes, bags, jackets. What else did I do? Pants. The pants were sick.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah. Thank you. It was like basically this spray painting technique where I like, it's like lightly dusting, like whatever you're spraying. So it's not like super aggressive colors.
Yeah.
But like they sort of blend together and create this really weird.
That like the after effect that from like the spray when it touches something and it has like that weird snowy like effect on it.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, snow is really like it's like just dusting it.
Yeah,
with spray
dusting,
paint.
yeah.
And so during the show, like before that, I was really doing that a lot. I did it with these like Nike pants, these Nike golf pants, and then these pair of Nikes, which are still in my closet. I honestly should have brought them. Should have worn them. They're sick. But and the pair I'm wearing right now are like they're really dusty. But
I was gonna ask about those too.
Yeah.
I kept looking down. I saw those.
these were the prototypes, man. I had a lot to figure out with these. So these ones are not the best. But I was doing that for the show, and it was something that I wanted to explore more. And customizing shoes and just releasing shoes so that people can buy them has been something that's been really interesting for me. And since the show, I met with this genius named David. He runs this company called Keto Wears down in Bloomington. And
I think I know who you're talking about.
We've become really good buddies over the past couple years. And seeing him absolutely scale that company and really push boundaries with it. I mean, like what he was doing when I met him, and then what he was doing, what he's doing now, is like completely different. And I took a lot of inspiration of what like you can do and what you can't do, and what like is okay, what's not okay. And I saw what he was doing. He was customizing the Air Force Ones, Blazers, Dunks. The Dunks were insane. And he was doing it with stencil, airbrush. It was really, really cool. And I mean, like, the thing that was stopping me was me thinking I can't sell shoes that I just like customize like that.
Yeah.
And I see him doing it, and they're sick, and people love them. And I see Quavo wearing them. I see literally anybody wearing them. Like, there's so many people, and I was like, what? Like, I should just do this. Like, I should. I mean, he's been a big part of like my inspiration for just following through with it. The design I just sort of like made up. Like I was like figuring it out. I was like, oh, that looks kind of sick. That looks pretty interesting. And then so I was like, I'm gonna run with this and move forward like that. So that was like, it was probably like seeing how he was doing it. I was like, wait, it is okay if I
Yeah.
like if I get a cease and desist, I get a cease and desist.
I mean,
Like, okay.
I mean that's the thing though, because I've seen a lot of people that make like businesses or careers based off that, like just taking like a shoe, like Nike or whatever, and then like editing, like painting them or whatever, like customizing them and then selling them. And I've always thought you could do it because like if someone brings you a product and they just want it like customized, you're like basically reselling that shoe but with the customization. So it's like a customization fee. I would look at it as. So it's not like you're
right. Yeah, you're paying for a service, right?
No.
Like,
Value to
yeah,
it.
you're doing something
Yeah.
like
Yeah, do you remember Lil Nas, the Nas X, with
Yeah.
the situation with the blood valve and the Nike shoe? How he got in
Yeah.
trouble because he was actually selling a product
yeah.
with like the name Nike on it, I guess, because he wasn't like it's like he didn't get permission from them or something like
Yeah,
that.
I have to wonder like what that like how that came to be. What did he get Nikes and then add the blood and like do that?
Yeah.
Talking about the satanic shoes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
that went viral.
It did.
Everyone
It
was
did.
promoted, and yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was really crazy. But I really don't know how you get that far with an idea without clearing something up like that.
Well, that's why he got in trouble.
I know. When you're someone that big, like,
Yeah, you should be able
you're
to do
not
that.
like a local
Yeah.
company like doing this, pushing it out. It's like you're globally known and you're releasing Nikes that are customized. I don't know, like who didn't tell him that? Like, who didn't run it by Nike?
Yeah,
He has so many people working for him. Like
Exactly.
I don't
like,
know, like-
should have been easy for him. Like, I mean, Tony Hawk does it a lot with
Yeah.
certain brands and stuff like
and
that.
his
So
deals, like he makes money. They don't
Yeah.
tell him this stuff. They're like, no, sell more.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, like when how giant companies react, just Nike especially, because
yeah,
they're the ones doing it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know too many other companies that are giving cease and desists left and right. Like,
Mainly just Nike.
yeah, when I first met David in Evan, Warren Lotus actually just got in a lot of trouble. He just got a cease and desist.
Oh,
He's
really?
getting sued almost $28 million from Nike.
Oh,
And like I was in the Keto offices, and we were just talking about that. It was interesting, but
dang.
yeah, super. That company, everybody who works there, and they're just so nice. They're the nicest people ever, and they put inspiration in my pockets every day. So yeah, definitely they inspired me to push out those color shoes, and I'll probably put out more shoes eventually too. So yeah.
And a recent update within, in the industry in fashion recently, or not, I don't know, LVMH is surpassed Elon's net worth. So like the most wealthy person now is in the fashion industry. And I want your thoughts on that. It's like, what did LVMH and all these brands, and I want your thoughts on this quote. It's either from Tom Ford or Armani. He says, fashion fades, style is forever. What does that mean to you?
Yeah,
And
well,
also fashion goes into different stages, like cycle, like music, art. So like sometimes like the 80s trends come back, the 90s trends. So when we talk about how the different art and creative process and different like art, music, and fashion correlates, and it goes through different cycles.
yeah, for sure. First of all, yeah, I mean, okay, so at least it's not Shein, like the Shein, at least it's not that CEO. Like, I don't hear great things about the CEO of LVMH, but you know what? At least it's not Shein, because I feel like they, that being said, like LVMH, like Louis Vuitton, like burns their clothes so that they don't have to put them on sale. Like that's not great for the environment.
No, it's not.
The fashion industry being the number 2 polluter of the entire earth is horrible. Man, that's really unfortunate. It's cool that
Behind factory farming, and then
Yeah.
it's fashion.
Yeah, exactly. And so it makes me, hey, yeah, cool, good for fashion, good for him. But I would hope he puts a lot of money into making ideas more sustainable and just really investing that into the future versus his eighth like castle that he has. It's frustrating. So I just that's cool. What was the next
one
part?
was Fashion fades, styles forever. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
from Tom Ford or Armani.
Yeah, Tom Ford.
That's Tom Ford. Yes, and Tom Ford just recently sold his company, right?
Oh, I did not hear
Yes,
about
he
that.
sold his
for like
company. I think he
2
worked-
point some billion
Yes.
to I don't know.
Who did he work for beforehand? Was it LVMH or
Okay.
was it Gucci? That he
Oh, what company owns Gucci? It might have been. I don't think it was.
Buring.
Yeah.
Owns,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, good for him. He's doesn't have to work ever again if he doesn't want to, and that's pretty sick. I think all companies change. That's like when another company buys a company, you're gonna see changes. You're gonna see things change.
His work ethic, man. If
Yeah.
you ever study Tom Ford's and his work ethic, that
Yeah.
man never stops.
No,
he is
yeah.
always creating, even is a movie director. And
Yeah, he's
He
like
made one film, I think.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nocturnal Animals.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, if you want to hang out with me, like, you have about a year and a half wait. Like that's like his next. If you want to hang out.
His
That's
friends
his
were like,
open-
hang out. He's like, what's hang out? I don't
Yeah.
know what the meaning of
Yeah,
hanging out
literally,
means.
has
It's like,
it booked and like he's like super scheduled
Yes.
out and like everything he does is like next level.
yes.
So, yeah, I mean, fashion fades, styles forever. Yeah, I guess that's a complicated statement, but I guess what it means to me is that like looking good, looking respectable, and just just trends come and go,
Mm-hmm.
and certain things aren't going to come and go. And I'll tell you, I think that really lies just in simplicity.
Yeah.
And like
Mm.
the easiest answer sometimes is the right answer, and I think like just simplicity is like really really important.
You mentioned simplicity, and that I want to talk about artists. You and I like Leonardo da Vinci, and he has a quote that says, I want your thoughts on this too. Is that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication?
Yeah, I think it is.
What does that mean?
I think that's what I learned in this past year. It was crazy. I was really just not sure. As I said earlier about those Ben Piggott fell off shirts, I didn't know what to make, so I made something about not knowing what to make. And that's like, it's just like, well, when you don't know what to do, sometimes like the easiest answer is the right one.
It's
What's
very
simple-
zen and philosophical, though.
It lasts, I think.
Mm.
Simplicity lasts because I think once you start overcomplicating things, I think that's when a lot of people can start forming opinions. Good opinions and bad opinions. And I think a lot of trends that start, find something really trendy right now
Mhm.
that's super simple. And I really can't picture anything that's super simple and trendy. But I will say, minimalism is in right now. So
Yeah,
that's
I
not
will say-
not a great statement, but there's a ton of things that have been trendy in the past, I'd say 2 decades,
Mhm.
that just are so crazy and complicated.
People
Like the
sold the
Yeezys?
pet rock. People
Yeah.
sold pet rocks in the past. It's just
Yeah.
the rock, and it's simple, and they made millions
And
on
people
a rock.
and people bought them, yeah.
Yes.
And that's like,
It's like a gag gift, but it's a trend. So it's like you're trying to penetrate that market, which is like humor, but also like a question mark.
Exactly.
And people gravitate towards that.
and I that's something that I really want to start putting in my designs is like simplicity and thought, because I think like you can make something really
Yeah.
complicated, or something simple that has a really complicated meaning behind
Yeah.
it. You put 2 words on a hoodie and it could just have like some really really long drawn out explanation
Yeah.
to those 2 words.
See, and that's where I agree with you on that point, because my art, like when I started off, it was like very eclectic and all over the place and like dramatic, I would say. And then over the years, like it became more simplistic and minimal, and then it like just became more tame and calm. But it's like more deeper meaning in it, and it's like you can tell like the transition, and it's very interesting to see that over time, like as you grow and mature, it just becomes more subtle, and you can tell a story without having to be so dramatic or harsh. Because I think that's more of a reflection on who we are as a person. Because I think fashion, for example, is a reflection of like our personalities.
Mhm.
So when I see people's clothes, I kind of like see them. I see it as an extension to who they are. So like it's interesting to see like your color palette right now. Like this, I feel like it's you. Like it's like Ben. And then when I see him in that, I feel like it's like an extension of his personality. So I kind of like when I see people, we see how like their personality or like how they carry themselves, it kind of reflects on their fashion statements or fashion choices or what they go after. And it kind of is the same way with like people's interest in other people. Like it kind of connects people, because when I see someone else that's like into fashion, and I know they're really into fashion, they're not doing it as a trend. You can tell who's really into it, that really cares about it, versus someone who's just trying to like, follow a trend or just be trendy.
Yeah,
You kind of like can tell, because I don't have a problem with people trying to be trendy, but I don't really like the idea of it, because I feel like it's kind of like a poser. Like who are you at? Like who are you really? Like so like.
It's like copy paste.
Yeah, it's
like
copy paste.
It's mass production, and it's like you're following someone else's idea.
Yeah.
Like they have you, and there's no individualism with that. There's no personal expression, and fashion is a way to express yourself in a way. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I think this past year I've like been wearing what I in the past would consider boring. Like all my clothes, I was 2 years ago. If 2 years ago you saw how I was dressing today, like wow, that's super boring. But like. No, I am really enjoying simplicity right now, and not overcomplicating, and just like sort of looping back to what Tom Ford said about the style. Yeah, it's like it's easy, and I don't think I think it just talks about trends, and like I'm just sort of like okay, I'm gonna step back from pretty much everything, and just not overcomplicate.
Yeah.
Just like it doesn't look bad. So that's like where I really want to put my energy, especially like this year too. And there are like so many like Japanese designers that I've been like enjoying. Izzy Miyake. Super like Steve Jobs, like you look at Steve Jobs.
Turtleneck and a jeans.
Yeah.
Just Izzy Miyake, turtleneck, and blue jeans and New Balances. And it's like that, I don't think that will ever not look good. And I think it moves back to this just like simplicity. And Steve Jobs, about like reading more into like a few of his quotes, a few things that he's done. I've been kind of enjoying like his humility, because everyone thinks he's just like some. He was a genius. I mean, he was really smart.
He was a perfectionist.
Yeah.
The way he operates, his leadership, people got scared of him because he wants his design to be perfect, flawless.
Yeah, and he had humility to him, and that like his humility of this like super perfectionist like genius. I think I've been like enjoying that side of it because like everybody knows he's like this giant mogul, and then there's this other side to him that's like like this is about things I enjoy, and I think it all ties together at the end of the day. Like what Tom Ford was saying, the way Steve Jobs dresses every day, and
he doesn't have to put mind to it. And also, when he was diagnosed with cancer, when he had pancreatic cancer, he was more productive when they told him, you're going to die. So what he achieved during that period when, you got this limited time, that you're going to die, you have this, he achieved more than anything that he ever worked in Apple.
And it goes back to what you were saying about working, because like it wasn't working for him, but it was kind of a situation where it was uncomfortable that made him work even harder.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you're in the position in which like you just got to do it.
When death lurks, what do you do?
It gets
when
done.
Death is there.
You do it like 100%. And I've not been working 50 to 80 hours a week for the past like year, and that's been a big change. So, but it also like kind of refines like what I'm going to be doing this next year, setting up a bunch of projects, photo shoots, and channeling ideas that I want to get across to people. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I heard I saw the article online about you doing some work at HSE with that one program you won an award too. I heard about that.
Yeah, I was working at this McAllister's right over here, like right there. It's down the street, and this old family friend like came in one day and she was like, "Hey, I worked with this like special needs program. These kids need to get some work experience before they go out and they graduate high school, go out to the real world." And so what we did was we just set up a program where they could come work for me, and then they would go out and graduate.
Yeah.
And they could still work there if they wanted to, or they could quit and go do something else. And that was a huge success. Actually, they ended up saving our asses, like for sure. And yeah, that was a good experience, and I was not expecting to get like an email from the city of Fishers or anything.
Yeah, they gave you an award too, didn't they?
Yeah. They're like, hey, you're gonna get this award, and you have to come to the town hall every year and take pictures and stuff. I was like, wow, okay, like I just needed employees, and it worked out. Like, and some of the like letters that they wrote me were just, I still have them, keep them forever, because I guess I really touch people by, I don't really know, like just I thought I was just doing my job, but they looked at it in a different light, and yeah, it meant a lot to me to hear how they felt. So.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because I was like browsing the internet one day and I happened to see that article because I was subscribed to the Fishers newsletter, so I saw that in there. So I was just like,
really,
yeah,
that's
great. I always see you all over the place. Like it's just very interesting. Over the years, like I've seen you like in like fashion shows or just like articles that I've been reading and stuff like that. So definitely interesting.
I was working there, like that's where I was working, like during the first show, the runway show. That's like, I was working my ass off, but. Yeah, it's funny. That's funny because it was like that was probably like a few months after that.
Yeah,
and then shortly after that, I actually resigned from that job. They transferred me over to a store, and I worked there for like 2 years. Put my blood, sweat, and tear, created these programs. I had hired a lot of the staff at that point. I mean, so much time and effort, and then they're like, "By the way, you're working in Westfield tomorrow." And I was like,
"Oh wow!"
Oh, like. Wow, and so that, I was mad. Ended up, I mean, I stayed at Westfield for like probably 2 or 3 months, and I was like, okay, well, one of my roommates, Ian McIntyre, gave me a job.
I know Ian,
So I'm still rocking with him. So yeah, that's, it's been a lot less, like, physical labor, which has been really nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Who are some of your inspirations of these, in the fashion industry, like moguls or entrepreneurs? You can list brands and, who would you say is like, have kind of inspired you, gave you that kind of platform? It's like this guy or this person really ignited me.
A lot of it's music, honestly. Like jazz inspires me. As far as like designers, like Yoshi Yamamoto,
nice.
Yeah, Izzy Miyake, Alexander McQueen. I am pretty convinced he was the best to ever make clothes. He was like just out of this world, I think, and it's really unfortunate that he, isn't still doing it today.
Yeah.
But I think Margiela was superb, and it was really cool to, I watched that documentary on him where, no one really has seen his face too much. He doesn't show who he is, but he talks in the documentary, but you don't get to see his face. And he, hearing him like say like, I was a clothing designer, and then I fell on some hard times. I had to get an investor. The investor came in, basically made him a creative director. He was like, I don't want to be a creative director. I want to make clothes. Like, I want to be the one putting this together. And so I really like that about him, because he's like, he needs to have his hands on the project, and that's really important. Hayao Miyazaki, the Studio Ghibli founder.
What's your favorite anime from that?
Oh,
I know that one.
Castle in the Sky is fire.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away is like,
classic.
Dude, like anything
Ponyo?
else. Ponyo was good, dude. My mom, like, growing up, my mom would like always buy the DVDs, and so we'd just be watching those like all the time.
Got a Totoro some love?
Yeah, facts. Yeah, Totoro's fire.
I think they made in Japan. They made a Ghibli land. Like,
they did.
And also
I heard
they made a
about that.
Mario land as well.
That's a new one too. Yeah,
That'd be sick. Howl's Moving Castle too.
that was good.
It's fire.
The soundtracks, man.
Yeah, the soundtracks.
The music.
The thing was, he had his hands on every frame. Like every frame, like it's all hand drawn. It's not it's animated with hand drawn, so that takes forever. But he, like, for Spirited Away, his hands were on every single frame.
Wow.
And so like that's like the idea that I like behind Margiela. because he's like just his hands. He wants his hands on it. He wants to be making the clothes himself. I say, you know, Virgil, for the if you listen to his lectures, he says a lot of good stuff, and he pissed a lot of people off. I think now we understand why.
Ralph Lauren.
Yeah. I mean, now I think we see why Virgil pissed so many people off. Well, he was dying, and he was just gonna go for it.
Yeah,
and I respect it, you know. And
I mean, Ghibli Studio, to look back, now Disney bought them out. Now Disney owns Ghibli.
Yeah. Loewe is another company because they collaborated with Studio Ghibli, which was really beautiful. I thought that collection was sick. Anything Loewe's, they're like, if they had a bigger following, more people knew about them, I think they would be just as big as Balenciaga. So
I also like to dive deep into like the dark side of the fashion industry. Like I want to talk this. I want your thoughts on this too. It's just like companies like Coco Chanel. Like people don't really know the history of Chanel, and Coco Chanel was actually, you know, she worked, but she was a Nazi spy during the time, and basically she played both sides in order to make her business successful. And brands like Hugo Boss, people don't know about Hugo Boss, but guess what Hugo Boss did?
Nazi.
They made the uniforms for the Nazis.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one.
And you know, they tailored all that. So there's you know, histories within the fashion industry that, you know, people like kind of ignore or don't really know the origin story, but like studying that, it's like very interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, at the end of the day, it's all money. Like, it is only money. Like, if the government came to me and they were like, we're going to pay you millions and millions, well, you know what, let's just call it $1 billion to design the military uniforms. And, I mean, like, what would you say? I would be like...
Nationalism? It's like...
Like, you know, I don't need, you know, not huge on the military. Like, I don't know, my grandfather was in it, whatever, you know, like, obviously, like, that's a big thing, because, like, what if our government turns and decides to do some really inhumane, like, war crimes?
Yeah, and you're
like, they're all wearing my designs, like, but imagine, like, not getting to do my dream job for the rest of my life, getting all the money, you know, and that's, like, at the end of the day, these people are getting a lot of money, and they're doing it, I think, for the businesses, and it is super unfortunate about, you know, like Hugo Boss doing that, and it's hard to, you know, I wasn't there, but I kind of don't need to be. Like, I feel like I probably wouldn't support the Nazis if I were. I don't know. I don't think I would do that. Like, they're being terrible. Like, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, and then also you gotta look at it like this. Like, you don't really don't even know if they were kind of like forced to do it.
That's I was about to say.
Yeah,
you know, there might
survival. Like, they're coerced to it. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you say no and then get shot. You know?
Yeah, like I really wasn't there. I really don't know what happened. I don't think I would do that. But I mean, sometimes I don't know if like they had a choice.
Yeah, because most of them didn't have choices.
I know a lot of people in the entire that. They did not have choices. I don't think it makes it like
okay.
But, and I think if they did have a choice or did not have a choice, I think if I didn't have a choice, I'd be like, look, I had no choice. They forced me to do this. Like, cancel me if you want. That's fine, but you know,
cancel culture is here, guys.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I really just I don't know. I don't think I would do that military job because if I were offered it, because I would say.
What about here? Your family's on the line. What you gonna do?
No,
that's when it's different. When there's collateral,
I'm gonna I'm gonna get to the drawing board and do it. But hopefully it doesn't come down to that because though I would be very financially well off, it just it stains the company as a whole. Yeah. And I don't hear a lot about Hugo Boss. I don't get much notice. I don't see it in the headlines. I don't, and I think that maybe it has a part to play. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I honestly believe with art, there's a lot of dark sides to art. There's always like darkness behind it all.
Yeah.
Like if you look at any artist, it's always some dark stuff going on in the background of it all. I don't really think that there is any art out there that's produced like 100% clean or good. I just feel like there's some type of negative or dark or just some type of I don't know, nothing good behind it. Like all of them had their, Leonardo da Vinci sure did. Like he was forced to make stuff that he didn't want to have to because he had to make a living. So it's kind of like a lot of them were just forced.
The king's gonna cut his head off, but mentioning and going on top of that, it's like all these brands, they have their origin stories, and let's do a rapid fire round. Like let's fire some brands out, and let's get his opinion and adjectives. Like
for the record, I would not make the Nazi uniforms. So it's I just want to get that out here. Like I would not do that. I don't condone any. No,
and you're mentioning art. I mean, sometimes I look from a historical perspective that sometimes art is propaganda. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs as a middle schooler, it was like Green Day and U2, and they came together to raise funds for Hurricane Katrina victims, and they had this video. And I was on a road trip and I watched the video again, and it is straight military propaganda. There are 50 fighter jets, all it's so CGI, it's all fake, but it's programming, and it was a great song, and it had nothing to do with the military, but the video was
it's subconscious mind, it's programming behind that. Even video games, like Call of Duty, all these things, the kids who play those games, they're most likely to join the military.
Yeah.
Or they have this weird idea that they're the greatest country in the world because in those video games it's picked they're just going around just blowing people up, and it's I don't know, it's kind of benevolent, but if you think about it, it's like creating this bad reputation behind it. I'm just
it's a simulation. It's okay, prime their brain for this, and once they're at the age, join.
Wow.
It's interesting.
I just wanted to say one quick thing. I met this military dude who was he was one of my Uber riders. I was like, what do you do for a living? He says he just goes around America and play war games with people, with teenagers and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So just to influence them to join.
Oh, wow.
So he'll give them a pitch. He gets paid for this. He'll give them a pitch after the game, yo, you want to join?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
See,
that's propaganda.
He knows what he's doing. It is. I think propaganda is really interesting because it's all around us all the time. It's not always super obvious, but it is. It is there.
Study Soviet art. That gets dark. It really does. And let's do that. Wrap it around. Let's fire some brands and let's get his thoughts on it. You go first.
I'm gonna be super controversial right now. Kanye.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
I don't think he really makes the shoes himself. I don't think he really designs those. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just don't ever see him behind a drawing board, drawing those out. I think he's made some good music, but I think he's also made an ass out of himself, and I think he's dug himself too deep. So, yeah. I can't say I really support him.
Kanye's gonna call you out, bro.
Adidas dropped him. I think his net worth, $2 billion, was just pooped out of the air once Adidas.
Yeah, he's a few $100 million now, and he just keeps saying really horrible things. So I can't.
Adidas had some Nazi ties too. If you
really
look, they do have some.
Yeah. They were both in the Nazis, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, they were soldiers.
Yeah, another German brand. Yeah, very interesting. That's short answer on Kanye. I can't support him, but he did have a lot of good music, and he had he had some cool clothes, and the clothes that he did that were in his fashion shows are going to impact the clothes that are manufactured on a larger scale for the next, I give it another 10 years. I'd give it another 20 years.
And that's why I kind of suggested him, because when he introduced him and Fear of God, when they both started coming out with this military style look or whatever, I don't know, post-apocalyptic look, it just impacted fashion a lot. Now a lot of people like this over-layered type of baggy military look. I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely think
it's going to keep going. The shoes especially.
Yeah.
I don't think he really, he might have done the first Yeezys and the second Yeezys, the third Yeezys, and when it starts getting into that really complicated foam work, are you making that? Are you actually getting on a computer on a CAD design program?
Yeah.
3D modeling is that what Kanye is doing? I don't think he's doing that. I think he's telling someone to do that. I think people who work for him, which I've heard as hell, are doing that, and that's fine. Cool. It does look good. And people are going to be using that for the next, I say 20, it's probably going to be more. It's just people are for the past decade have been doing this now, and I think we're going to see it for another 20. So
I mean, he was a big threat in the fashion industry. Especially, I was listening to Lex Friedman podcast. He interviewed Kanye for like almost 3 hours.
Wow.
And just diving deep in all these controversial stuff. And it's like, he was building his empire when they had those fashion shows. Like he had Beyonce, Jay-Z, and all these big artists. They were combining capital, but Bernard Arnault thought it was a threat. So like he was really disrupting the fashion industry. It's like, and when you threaten a monopoly, like they don't like that.
They don't. And he has created so many people's careers. I mean, so many people, like they'll show up for like 2 events and then their careers are made because Kanye said, "Pull up to this show. I need you to do this."
Yeah, because didn't Virgil work with them too?
Yeah, I think they
had a little falling out, but then they got like cool with each other again.
Virgil started working for Kanye back in like, man, it was I think early 2000s, I think, and then he started Pyrex, and then Pyrex turned to Off-White, and then I think he left to go do Off-White full time, and then I think they interned at Fendi together. I think, but I can't I think one of them was interning at Fendi, and I think Kanye also worked for Louis Vuitton a
little bit, yeah.
And then I think they went their separate ways, but they were still cool and everything. And then I think Kanye started saying some things like, "I should have been." Yeah, it should have been me.
Yeah, because it was that whole Off-White situation, like the shoe that dropped, and that kind of was controversial. And I was just like, I thought that was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of he said, she said too, and I think it's like Kanye starting most of these conversations that just like don't have a whole lot of like productive.
Yeah,
like it should have been me. Like, okay, but what are you gonna do instead? You have a multi-billion-dollar contract with Adidas, like. Focus on that. Don't get mad about not being in charge of Louis Vuitton. Like, you have so much already. Yeah, you don't need to get mad about. I don't know. So
it's kind of interesting to see, like, to hear about like artists when they like with their art and their artists, like as an artist and their art. Because there was a segment that I used to watch on YouTube called "Love the Art, Hate the Artist," where they were talking about like artists that were like extremely popular and that they were like terrible people, like no one really liked them, and like in the grand scheme of it all, you think that this person was a great person, but if you really look deep into their life, you're just like, dang, that's not what was really going on.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's like a really important thing. I think that everyone should keep in mind. I think that it's okay to love the art and hate the artist. Yeah. Because there is a lot of good art that like, I mean, it's like Michael Jackson.
That's a good one.
It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it is like Kanye West. It is like his music. That's really good, and people don't want to group Kanye and Michael together right now. I can guarantee that people don't want to do that. But ultimately, I think they are in the same situation. They both made a lot of mistakes, forgivable or not. Like, I don't think people are not their art. Like their art stands separately. Like that is. Yeah, I do think it's important.
I can have love for someone's art, but not have to agree with their personal opinions. So, like, I listen to all types of artists. I like a lot of art, like paint artwork. I like a lot of fashion designs, like designers. But do I personally agree with their narratives or their belief system? No, I don't. Like, it's kind of one of those things where you have to like separate them. They're different entities. It's like I could be a horrible person, but people don't like my art. You know, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but at the end of the day, as a consumer of these things that are being put out there for you to look at or like, you kind of have to like create that difference yourself. And I feel like, he said some things that were like, not okay. I don't support what he said. But at the end of the day, we can't take that his music wasn't great, like you just said. It's like, it's a line right there.
Like right now, I think my favorite artist right now, I don't think we would get along. I don't think we would be friends.
Wait, who is it?
His name's Noah Dillon. And I just don't think we would get along. I won't say too much, but I just think that we have very different views. Yeah. I think he is so good at what he does. And I think like Virgil listed him as like one of his top few inspirations. Like this guy is good. No one's doing it like him. I'm starting to see other people try to do it like him right now. And that's just slowly coming around. But he's a genius, but I really don't think we would get along.
Yeah.
Due to some things.
But opposite attracts, but that's the why you gravitates towards. And like
Yeah.
you were like mentioning, like these ideas, these like it makes me think of this, from Carl Jung's quote, Sigmund Freud's apprentice, and going to psychotherapy and psychology, is that he stated that, people don't have ideas, ideas have people.
Mhm.
And that's why ideologies can be so dangerous at times.
Yeah. It's just interesting that we may really enjoy something that
Mm-hmm.
people make that really okay. Person though is, I don't think. I mean, I'm just like not like that, you know. And I don't really feel hate towards anybody.
Yeah.
But I just don't think like we would be compatible.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Another fashion controversial. I want to top it off with a cherry.
Oh, I know
is
who
that-
this is
I know-
gonna be.
No. This is another one. You mentioned Kanye, but I want your thoughts on this. Is that brands such as Lululemon or Abercrombie and Fitch, they got some backlash in the past because they don't want to produce clothes for oversized people or obese people.
Yeah.
And like they got some hate, but there's some people who think different. As a fashion brand.
Didn't Abercrombie French do that? And they like
A&F,
went
yeah.
out, they like tanked them or something like that?
Yeah.
I think it was them. It was
It was
one company.
enough, but Lululemon has a similar stance.
Mm.
But
Interesting.
look at where they
Interesting.
are. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great. I mean, like looking at that, not even like as a human, just as a business person,
Mhm.
don't do that.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. That's not
Don't
a good
do
look on your
that.
brand.
What are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And as a human, I think you should include. I think everyone should feel.
Yeah.
Everyone should be able to experience your product, and that should be obvious as a business person making a product, no matter what it is. Like if I make peanut butter, yes, some people aren't going to be able to have that, but I think as far as like when you have the opportunity to include people or to leave people out, I don't understand
Yeah.
why on earth you would choose to intentionally leave people out. Like, why?
Oh, it's
Why
even
would
in the
you?
fitness space. All these influence brands like Gymshark or Young LA.
Right.
Like Gymshark includes, but at Young LA, I want the fitness influencers like C-Bomb. All these guys are
Yeah.
fit, and I don't want to produce for oversized people. So
Right.
because they want to promote fitness, it's like I don't want to promote that. So like, is it okay? You want to include, but also their brand positioning. So that's
Yeah.
where they're coming from. So
Right.
it's like, what do you do when you're kind of tied into that position?
Well,
I don't think they are. I
Honestly,
mean,
one quick thing.
yeah.
One quick thing. I'm thinking, but that's kind of like the essence of business, where you got that shark, dog eat dog type of world. You're kind of like a shark. You're aggressive. You're cutthroat. And so, I mean, when it comes to fitness, I can kind of understand where they're going with it, right? But at the same time, like he said, come on, man, you don't want to bring all that hate with you either. Man.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to be so cutthroat with it. You
Look
know
at-
what I'm saying?
look
Walking on thin ice.
Look
Yeah,
at Rihanna.
yeah.
Look at Rihanna. She's created a lingerie line for, like, you look at her ads, you look at her, like, the models use, and it is everybody.
Yeah.
It is, like,
Mhm.
anybody. And, like, it's lingerie. It's, like,
Mhm.
even less than, like, gym clothes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even
revealing.
covering
Yeah,
it. Like,
exactly.
it's super revealing, and it's super personal, and it's super, like, and she's really just annihilated this industry because
She did.
because she's coming in here
like for
and she's
makeups
like-
and all kinds of things.
and it was really from the get that she's just had all these different kinds of people,
Mhm.
men, women, overweight, underweight, like
Yeah.
really just she's hit every base and she's going to continue to be successful
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah.
And especially, it's just important to do, I think.
But to touch base on that, so I think a lot of companies, they want to create this narrative. So like, for example, if you look at like higher end brands, right? They kind of like have this thing that they only cater to like upper echelon class of people, right?
Yeah.
So they have their base products for the normal people, and then they have products that are like, you have to like go there, especially to like talk to them, design it, and then you can have it. Like Hermes, for example, you just can't just walk into a retail shop and get that.
Right.
But they're not like discriminating anyone. They're kind of like setting it in place where they're doing it without doing it. So they're like catering to a certain crowd of people, but they're not being dismissive with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
They're not saying you can't have this
Exactly.
product. But if you don't have the money for it, then therefore you can't have the product. So they set it at a price point that only certain people can get it.
Yeah.
These other brands want to cater to a certain type of group of people. So they do that by just wording it that way, which being a brand owner or a business owner is completely horrible because then
Yeah.
you just like disrupt the public. then it's going to have backlash, then it's going to create situations like this, then it's just going to be coming to a point where you're just going to be attacked as like body shaming, and then yeah, it's not okay as a brand. And you know, that's one of the things that's like, you can't make a product and then try to say it's not for this type of person but only this person. You can't do that. You have to like set the price point, set a plan up for it, and then just let it do it on, like let it happen on its own. That's how companies do like luxury cars. Lamborghini didn't say poor people can't have a Lamborghini. They didn't say that. The car is just expensive. So if someone who doesn't have the money can't go buy one.
My thought is that you can't win everyone. You can't please
Yeah.
everyone. And it's like, if you want to target a niche market, then go for it. That's,
Mhm.
you know, like
Yeah.
you got the free will to do it. You can't please everybody. It's
Yeah.
like, you can have different strategies in business. It depends, but the end goal is still the same.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think like and that's really important. You are never going to please everybody.
Mhm.
That's like really, as an artist or a business person alike, you know, people will get mad about inclusivity. People are going to get mad about that.
Mhm.
You need it, but they're going to get mad. People are going to be mad that they're not included. Either side, you're going to be facing lashback.
Mm-hmm.
And man, yeah, as an artist, like I remember, like my first time I heard someone like talking some smack about some painting somewhere like that I made. I was like, bro, like okay, like that's cool. You don't like it. That's all right. Like, I mean, you're never gonna win them all, and I think it's for me. If I'm gonna do it a certain way, it's gonna just like as a business person, I'm gonna be thinking about it. Like I don't want just like half the people's money.
Yeah.
I want everybody's money, right? Like, I think that's what business is about.
Yeah.
You know, it just blows my mind that brands like Philip Klein and like they suck because they're just like really. I mean, it's not even the design. The designs suck, but it's also like the kind of person it's marketed to just sucks. And you're like, I don't know. I don't know. That's my opinion, but I'm just like, oh man, not this again. So
yeah, like you just said, you can't please everyone. Because I remember when I first went public with my art, I got a lot of backlash at first and got comparisons and like,
yeah,
you want to be, like. And it's like, and I was just like, there's no similarities into me and this other artist you guys are mentioning. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? These people who don't even have credentials in art, like, they don't even understand it. Like,
subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone wants to have an opinion.
And I think comparing is like, it's not always bad because really it's just someone who doesn't really. It's they want to be able to talk about it. But they don't really know how, and so they're like, oh, this reminds me of this, or it looks like that. And so when you say like, it's like, oh, you're comparing me to this person or that person, but at the end of the day, I think it is just people wanting to be able to talk about it. It's not always bad. I mean, a lot of my music, like, that I make, people like, oh, you sound like Alt J. I'm like, oh, cool, like, I guess you're right.
But it's kind of like,
is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know, but like, they're saying it, so it's like, okay.
Because in your creative mindset, you think you sound like yourself. You think that you have your own unique sound. But when someone comes to compare you to someone else, it's kind of like, they're comparing you to them.
Are you saying I'm not original? Like,
yeah.
You're saying, like, in it, you get this, like, you're like, is this a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Yeah.
That's to loop back where we're talking about. It's like, fashion, it goes in cycle, music goes in the cycle, but if people take the inspiration from those who come before them and like put their own spin to it, but it's like, you stand on the shoulder of these giants and you keep that legacy alive.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
More on the futuristic in like the future in fashion. What are your thoughts on like incorporating, now brands are incorporating like AI, also like NFTs to like these shoes, like Nike in the collabs, and like, okay, you can register your shoe and as an NFT.
Yeah.
It's like that's disruptive. Where are we going with that?
Hard to say. I had my friends David and Keto did that. They dropped these like MLK Air Force Ones. They were sick. And when you buy them, they like register. You can register them on the blockchain, so that like, and then if you resell them, then it goes. The NFT of the shoe itself goes to the next person. I'm just saying, like, don't let it make music. We don't need that.
We really don't.
I want human musicians. I don't need. I've seen some like AI like SoundCloud rappers, and they're just like, I'm like, man, like this is brutal.
We're heading
It's
into a
scary where
strange
we're
time.
going, man,
Mhm.
because they released an AI episode of Joe Rogan interviewing Steve Jobs, and it's
No
like
way.
Steve Jobs is like sitting there talking based on his conversation in
Mhm.
the past, and they just so they're having a real life conversation, like Joe Rogan talking to Steve Jobs.
Wow.
I think AI is awesome, but I don't like for something as human as art is.
Mhm.
I
You
don't-
can never replicate that.
Yeah, and they're trying to really hard, and I'm taking the side of like, okay, humans should make art. Like,
Yeah, because it comes
it's
from
about
somewhere personal.
emotion.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about personality. Like, to be honest, they're not people.
No.
They're computers, and like, yeah, I just it's not that it's bad art. It's not that it's evil. It's just like it's not humans, and I just don't know what the purpose is.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's any emotion behind it.
No, it's not, because
Exactly.
art is produced from a certain place within humans. So
Yeah. It's
artificial,
skill sets.
yeah, artificial intelligence can't produce that. Now, knowledge, I guarantee you, it's gonna like knock everything out of the ballpark. But when it comes to like actual emotions in art, no, it never will be able to.
Yeah.
I
Take
think
that.
Jordan Peterson mentioned is like art is like the gateway to your subconscious mind.
Mhm.
It's from your dream state. It's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
expression from that chaos like coming out, and it's like what's brewed inside, your traumas, your past, your upbringing, everything just comes out, and
Mhm.
it's a portal. Like when
Yeah.
you look at an art, it's a portal to someone's subconscious mind that you don't really know what's going on, and
Yeah.
it's like, and what are your thoughts on this? Can be a loss, also controversial.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on psychedelic arts?
Oh
that's-
yeah, like people
that's-
making art
Yeah,
on psychedelics.
Because-
That's great.
that it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, and it can mean different things to different people. You
Mhm.
know,
Mm.
I've certainly had my fair share of psychedelic experiences,
Let's
and
go.
you know, I've made plenty of art on psychedelics. So
You wouldn't be able to reach that state without it, though. Like that's the thing, but it opens up your mind and rewires your brain and creating new neuron pathways, and that you would never be able to reach that state without it.
I think I wouldn't understand what we're talking about right now if I
You
didn't.
didn't have that.
If I didn't have that, but I
Right.
do have that experience, and I do think it has changed how I make art and how I perceive things and like what inspires me. I think it's changed a lot, and even if you don't make art on psychedelics,
Mhm.
I think you can make art differently in the future. Like I don't think I need to take psychedelics to make art that I find meaningful. In fact, I found that being sober is like my most powerful
Mhm.
artistic state. But I don't know if I would necessarily understand that if like
You didn't have that
Yeah,
experience.
you know,
How
like
can you? Yeah.
yeah, it opens up a door, and maybe you don't like what you see, maybe
Yeah.
not for you, but
Set and setting.
I certainly think it does change people's perspective, opens them up a bit, and you know, I've definitely learned a thing or two about myself. So yeah, I would say I don't condemn it by any means. I think it's fine.
It's from the earth, like where.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
it's like it's
Whatever it is.
Big Pharma has entered the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it gets a little dicey though, because I think some artists rely on it for every painting they do. Like there were some well-known painters that died from like coke addiction and stuff like that because they were producing a lot of work on that,
Wow.
and it kind of like
Yeah.
end up taking them out. So I'm just like, it can get dicey because I know like a lot of the like artists, like for example Picasso, he abused a lot of substances to produce a lot of different things. So it's kind of one of those things where when I started, I was like, I don't want to mix like alcohol and because I don't want it to like, I produce something that's great on that substance and then I have to rely on it to create these products again.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
This might be subjective, but I think one of the great geniuses and all these great, artists, you gotta be a little insane or
Mhm.
mentally ill to reach that state. Like that,
It's-
if you study their habits,
No, I mean,
they're
that
a
is
little
just-
insane.
That is
you have to be.
They said the most creative people, the
Yes.
most creatives are mentally insane.
Yes.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
have to be. Because you're not
as
conforming
an
to
artist,
the-
I don't like to like really to tell people, yeah, I'm insane. Like it's
Yes. And there's a correlation with geniuses and insanity. You got it goes
That's what
hand
I
in
think
hand.
make like no one else thought to do it that way.
Mhm.
Right.
No one else, and then we see everybody copying it.
Yeah.
And, or like just no one thought to do that,
Mhm.
and like that speaks for itself. You're genuinely thinking different, whether it's like better or worse for your mental or your physical health. Like
even authors like Stephen King, he was on substance. He was pumping out books, and like it's wild.
Yeah, and I think there's like a difference between being like reliant on a substance in order to complete art, versus that substance being able to influence you to a place where you are making art.
Yeah,
like,
that's what the part was I was concerned about.
Yeah, it's like,
how do you find that sweet spot, man?
That's what he said earlier. It's kind of like you have to figure that out. Like,
because I like, I could do something and then you could do the same amount of that same thing. And we're just gonna feel completely differently, or maybe we feel similar, but we're gonna act differently. And I think it really comes down to the individual. And I don't know how to put this, but like, I thought that it was like necessary to be under the influence of things, or like trying to do stuff like that. And really, I don't think it helped me that much. I don't think. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself through those experiences, and I don't know. I don't think I would really do it differently if I had to do it again. I don't think I would.
Would you be the same person? That's the question. It's like, would you be here now? Like, that's the big question mark.
Yeah, like what would I be like if I didn't know all this stuff about myself, and if I hadn't tried and experienced things, and I could have been safer at times, and I could have been more thoughtful and looked out for myself a little bit more. But at the same time, I think I've learned so much about myself, and and I've been to the point where I've been reliant on certain things. But you know what? I now it's part of the learning process. Like, failing is a big part of it.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. Like, really, I mean, I think like a lot of art is exploring yourself, and then exploring what you like, and like focusing in on certain things. Like, my next project is gonna be these hats, and that just explores like music. And like when I listen to certain music, I'm like wow, like I'm moved emotionally. I moved, like, I've cried before when I've heard like a certain song in a certain way. And, it's like, wow, like this really moves me.
Yeah.
And so these hats are gonna accompany a photo project that I'm gonna be doing.
Where can I get one?
On my website, when that comes out, when it drops. Right now I have all the samples, and I'm going to be doing a little project with that. So yeah, it's like little parts of my life. Music is a big part of my life. So it's kind of one of the first things I'm diving into, just on my own, just me by myself, doing these. Like, the projects are my ideas. And then other people come in and help me with those ideas. I won't say I'm doing this all by myself. That'll never be true. But I think that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, actually.
Yeah.
That I have people wanting to work and stuff. But yeah, that's where most of my stuff comes from.
I feel like this podcast really dives into your mind, your like we really went deep into like how you express and how your thinking patterns and how you express and your emotions and feeling. It's powerful.
Yeah, I think the most, if there's one thing I want to leave you guys with, it's like, look at your life every single day. Like, that's where I get my inspiration, is every single day doing things. Like, it's not complicated. It's not like some masterpiece that I find inspiration in. It's like enjoying like a cold, like, I don't really drink soda, but like if I drank soda, it'd be like that simple. It's just like the feeling you get, the experience.
Yeah.
Exercise. Getting exercise is like really inspirational for me. I don't know why, but that's when I think of all of my ideas, is when I'm exercising. Like, I need to do this project, and I'm on my run, and I'm like, okay.
You're in that flow state.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, I don't know. That's where I find inspiration.
And how, on my last note, is like my last question for you is that, what advice would you give some, the youth, the next generation who want to go into fashion, who want to start this, who wants to become artists? You both can chime in. It's like, what note would you give them?
It's the same advice I'm still giving myself. It's just do it, and then you have to be consistent, and you have to keep doing it. You can't just do one cool thing. You have to keep doing things and you have to care about it. It has to be about you caring about your work and not money and not anything else but the work and the project itself. It's all about that and growing. And it's not about things that are residual effects from whatever you do. Just do it to do it, and that's when you're going to get your very best work. And that's when people start recognizing, like, look at this guy, he's weird. He makes art in the basement for no reason. That's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Like opportunities will come if you care about what you make, and if you care about what you're doing. So, yeah.
You would say consistency.
Over it is consistency. Yeah, it is because I've been inconsistent, and it changes everything. Like your life changes.
It's a compound. It's a compound effect.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that reflects.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. I'm glad we ended it on a good.
Yeah, me
note.
too.
I love
thanks.
it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's,
it was fun. It was great to have you on here, man.
Really great to meet everybody and see everybody again. It's fire.
I'm glad I got to sit down with you and actually.
I know. Yeah.
Because it's been a minute now. Because I think I actually hit you up and asked talking about doing a collab at one time too. Yeah.
It's been and if you ever still want to,
Oh, definitely.
Working with other people. Another last thing, super important. Work with other people.
Yeah.
You can't do this on your own. No one will ever be able to do it on their own. You see people, oh, look at this artist. I love this artist. That artist has people they work with.
Yeah.
No one does it on their own, and you have to be accepting to others helping you along the way. Your ego is going to kill you if you don't kill your ego seriously.
Ego death, guys. Find your tribe, find your wolf pack. Don't be that lone wolf.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Sweet.
Well, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah.
Man.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Thanks again for inviting me. Thank you.
God.